Hey loves, I hope that you're all doing wonderful. It is Sunday morning. I'm still in my PJs and I just made myself a cup of tea because I'm actually going to be heading to church in a couple of hours. So I thought that this would be the perfect time for me to record this video. This is part 7 of my healing series. If you've been watching this far, I really hope that it has made a difference, even if it's been in the little ways, one lesson, one revelation, or just even if it's just been an opportunity for you to think about your own journey and think about the ways that you want to become better, grow, unlearn, learn. I was just thinking this morning, like, when I started this series, it was really about just exploring the ebb and flow of healing and really not making it into something that can sometimes feel intimidating. And that's why many of the topics have been a little bit lighter, but then also have deeper undertones, because I know for myself that sometimes I would put so much pressure on myself to feel like I had to have everything together right away, like I needed to heal from this, heal from that. But then I realized that like healing was really taking place in my day-to-day life by just the small decisions I was making, not just the big ones, but really thinking about my habits, thinking about my thought patterns and like how I'm renewing my mind daily. It was the little things that have really made a big difference over time. So I just wanted to give you guys like a glimpse into that journey of mine. You know, at the beginning of the series, I talked about there's something I wrote in my book that it was something along the lines of, it takes courage to get on your hands and knees and dig for the unseen, because you cannot uproot what you are unaware of. And self-awareness is just such a big thing when it comes to us just growing, becoming who God has called us to be in all the different areas of our life. It really does require self-awareness. It really does require us to look at ourselves and look in the mirror, and to sometimes as well, like, not allow our journeys to be contaminated by what everyone else is doing, but really staying focused on our path and not being distracted, right? So today we're going to be talking about writing a new story and what that looks like, thinking about the narratives that we sometimes believe and how they can be so harmful to us, and sometimes don't even realize how they can be harmful to us. So I know for me, like, so much has changed from the beginning of me starting this series to now. For one, I decided to start taking violin lessons again. So I know that I probably, like, no one probably even knows this. Like, maybe like a few of my friends and like family, but I started playing the violin at 5 years old and I stopped when I was around 13, 14, and when I was in secondary school, because I felt so embarrassed. Like, I kind of felt like because I was the only one in my friend group that played an instrument, and I hated carrying around the big violin, and it was like something that had brought me so much joy as a child started to become something that made me stand out, and I didn't want to stand out. And that's the funny thing. It's like now I'm older and I realize that when you are called to be set apart in whatever area of your life, do it. You know, like, you are being set apart for a reason. Sometimes we choose sameness because it makes us feel comfortable and it makes us feel like we fit in. But when you are called to be different and embrace it. Like, be you with courage. And I learned that. But this is what I wanted to talk about. So I had to buy a new violin because my violin's still in London, and it was a smaller violin too because I haven't played for like 16 years. So I went to my first lesson, and the first thing she said to me was, wow, like, you still like hold the violin so well, like you hold the bow so well, like your fingers are in the right places. And she said, you know, like, the body does remember. And it made me think about the book, The Body Keeps Score. And it also made me think about the fact that there are so many things that we do in our daily lives that we don't even think about anymore, because literally our mind remembers and our body remembers. It's just muscle memory. It's just us doing it. And just because we're doing it, it doesn't mean that it's good for us, right? It's like, when's the last time that you've taken an audit of your daily habits, your daily thoughts, your daily actions, to really ask yourself, do they align with who I am? Is this narrative harming me, or is this narrative liberating me? It really made me ask my question, what are the things that my body is doing out of habit and not out of purpose? What narratives am I carrying about myself that are no longer real, that no longer bear fruit, but they just feel a part of me, like they're just so deeply connected to me? And I think it's just so important to like go through a season of uprooting, even if we sometimes feel empty, even if sometimes we feel like we just don't feel the same, because we are no longer the same, right? And one thing that I learned, I went to a retreat back in 2021 in New Orleans, and I remember like we had some workshop sessions, and during that time, because that was like a year after my grandma had passed away, and I think I was still in my grief and I was still working through some of my emotions there. And I remember for like this season just feeling empty, just feeling like I didn't know what was next, or feeling like I didn't know what to do. And my biggest revelation from that workshop was, Shandice, you're not empty. You're just waiting to be filled with something new. You went through a season of uprooting. You were so deeply drawn into your pain. And then when you started to come out of it, when you started to fill your mind with truth, you started to renew your mind daily, you didn't fully know how to walk in that yet. So it felt different. It was as if your body had to relearn how to live with joy. And in that season, it just felt so uncomfortable. And then at that moment in the retreat, it was like I felt God speaking to me like, just wait on me. I'm waiting to fill you with something new. I'm waiting to increase this vision, to show you it even clearer so that you know what steps that you're meant to be taking. Wait on me. I'm filling you with something new. And that was such a beautiful, revolutionary time for me, because I needed that. And it's like going back to sometimes not knowing how to maneuver in certain seasons because they're so different to what you're used to. Give yourself time and give God time to work through you. Everything doesn't have to happen like this. Like sometimes we want everything so quick, but we aren't equipped to handle it. Sometimes we don't have the capacity in that season to handle it. It doesn't mean that we won't in 5 months from now, but allow the work to take place, allow the refinement process to take place. You don't have to rush it. Just be patient, breathe. And I say these words to myself as much as I say them to you, because I know it's hard, and I know sometimes it's like we look ahead and we want what we see in the future, and it's really hard to stay rooted in the present. So just thinking back to those two questions, what are some habits that are hurting you, and what are some habits or some thought patterns that you need to unlearn so that you can relearn the truth? And really that starts with renewing your mind daily. And that's something that I've been thinking about a lot more, because I know I can do a better job. I know I can do a much better job at each morning thinking, what are 10 things that I need to know today? What are 10 things that, well, not even just today, every day. What are 10 things that I need to remember every single day that I can declare over my life? And I used to be so good at this. And I think there was like a season that like I stopped doing it because I thought like sometimes you can think that you have it all together, and it's like no such thing. Well, I kind of stopped doing it. And it's so important that we are renewing our mind and renewing our hearts daily, because so much is being poured into us. Some things are being poured into us without our permission. It's just happening. It's just life happening around us. And something that like I wrote in a poem some years ago was, pay attention to the things of the world you pay attention to, because without you even knowing, they are the very things molding you. Be very conscious of what is being poured into you on a daily basis. What are you allowing to flow into your heart? Because out your heart, those are issues of life. So like think about, if we create a system where every day we are renewing our mind, we are speaking life, we are speaking truth, we are reminding ourselves of who we are, why we are here, who God is. If we remind ourselves of all those things daily, flows through us will continue to bear fruit. It is going to continue to draw us in a direction that's going to be fruitful, where we can multiply, where we can truly be who God has called us to be. Next thing, invite God to write a new story with you. This is not something that you have to do alone. I think there was a season, especially from like 2020 during the pandemic, one thing that really harmed my faith, and I allowed it to harm my faith when I look back at it, was the whole George Floyd situation. Seeing that play out in the media and seeing how fellow Christians were reacting, I think that it broke my heart. It literally broke my heart. And for a season, I was kind of like ashamed to even be attached to that faith. I was like, I don't want to be a part of this. This is not what I believe. Like, this is not how you love. This is not how you do Christianity. This is not how you be a Christ follower. And I realized now, looking back, I was so fixated on how other people represented my faith. I didn't pour in deeper into my relationship with God during that time. And that's what I needed. Needed was continual renewal. I needed to be reminded of who I am in Christ and not allow my faith to be tampered with based on how other people were. That season broke my heart, and I can honestly say it broke my faith. But at the same time, God was still faithful and God was still showing himself to me. And I feel like I'm at the end of that now, where I'm at a place of renewal. And I feel like now I'm like, Lord, I want to grow deeper. I want to be more of who you have called me to be. So I just had to make a decision one day. Is my faith going to be the product of man's action, or is my faith going to be the product of my relationship with God? And I think that now I can honestly say I'm at a place that I have seen a shift and my heart is renewed and I am ready to dig deeper again. I'm ready to just experience my faith in a whole new way. And I'm really glad that I was honest with this journey and I didn't try to fake it. I was just like, right now, I have questions, I have thoughts. I am pretty much, my faith's on life support. And it's just really, I'm just so grateful that to be at the other side of this, but then at the same time to now be entering a new chapter of my faith. So I just want to encourage you to, when it comes to anything that you may be feeling, whatever you may be struggling with, give yourself the opportunity to write a new story with God, because you don't have to do this alone. Because at the end of the day, who is going to be able to assist you better than our Creator? Like, who else? You know, we can all encourage each other. We can all point each other in the right direction. But who is going to truly solidify your path? Who is going to truly order your steps? Who is going to give you clear direction? There is going to be no other but God. And so that has just been so transformative for me. This season has been filled with many ups. It's been filled with many downs, in the sense that I feel as if it is showing me more of who I am. I'm grateful that even in my ignorance, I'm grateful that even when I have those moments where my faith is literally on life support, I'm glad that God has continued to pour life into me. And this healing series has been healing for me. And I'm so excited for the last episode because it's really going to bring everything full circle. This year really marks a special time for me, and I'm going to be sharing more of that in the final episode, which will go live on Monday, the end of this month. I was kind of running behind because this was meant to be the last episode, but then I kind of like had a little break. But I'm being consistent, I'm following through. I'm also remembering that consistency is really about not giving up. It's really about staying the course. And some weeks look different than others, but I've committed to this series and I'm gonna see it through. But the one thing that I will say specifically for this episode is, if you are in a space that you may feel like nothing makes sense right now and I'm missing pieces, maybe it's because the story that you are currently carrying is not a narrative that truly reflects who you are. Maybe this narrative is not your portion. Maybe there's a new story. Maybe there's a new story with more purpose, with more truth, that really radiates who you are. So that's gonna be the journaling prompt. Well, actually there's gonna be two parts of it. For one, sit down, get a blank piece of paper and just write. Write the story, write the truth, and ask God to lead your hand as you write. Secondly, write down 10 things that you need to know every single day. And every morning, repeat those 10 things. This is literally gonna be what I do right after church. Like the fact that I'm even going like A couple years ago, my husband and I moved to Atlanta, and we used to live south of Georgia, and we always knew we were going to move back to Atlanta. And one of the things I really wanted to do was to find a church home, but I just wasn't ready because I was still in that place and I would just watch church online. But now I'm like, we're gonna find a church, and this is gonna be like one of the first ones we're gonna visit. So I'm just really excited today because I'm really excited to build more community, to get to know the word more, because I'm not going to be a shallow believer. Like, I either want to be a believer or I'm not. Do you see what I'm saying? So that's kind of where I am with that. But yeah, so this is my new journey in regards to my faith, and I'm excited to see how that goes. So yeah, I really hope that you enjoyed this time with me, and I will see you in part 8, final part. Remember to give yourself grace along this healing journey. It is not all bells and whistles and this and that. Sometimes it's a deep breath. Sometimes it's a prayer to God. Okay, so stay faithful, stay firm, stay focused, and continue to become the woman who God has called you to be. I'm Shandice, and I will see you in my next one. Take care.